Evening. It is Tuesday, May 4th. It is 6:38 p.m. Madam Clerk.
Yes, the roll call, we have Councilors Bordelon, Baumgarter, Franco, Heed, Aubrey, Parker. Can't see her. Is Parker here?
Running late.
Okay.
Oh, are you here, Councilor Parker?
Thought I saw her. No. And Councilor Zapiri. And I believe we're going to have another councilor shortly. So you're in yourself. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That can't be. Parker's not here. You have 7. 7 is a quorum.
Thought I heard a voice when you called her name, Madam Clerk.
I did too, but I don't see her.
Okay, so then we are at 7 councilors right now.
That's correct. That is a quorum.
Thank you very much. A salute to the flag. Would you like to lead us in the salute, Councilor Zapiri? You're muted, Councilor Zapiri. You're muted, Councilor Zapiri.
That's what you asked me to do last time.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. I'm sorry. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Zapiri, and God bless you, Mr. Burt.
Oh, that was a sneeze. I thought that was a be silent.
Mr. Burt is slightly under the weather. All right.
Which partying last night, huh, John?
No, it's allergies, the poor guy.
Okay, so we are on to part 3, Roman numeral 3, recognitions, awards, and memorials, and we have quite a few this evening. We have 3 proclamations this evening. The first is 2021-327 proclamation recognizing Arbor Day, and this was on page 3. Councilor Baumgartner, if you would like to start, please.
You need to
Sorry about that, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Thank
Proclamation recognizing Arbor Day. In 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, and produce oxygen and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas in recognition of National Arbor Day, on Friday, April 30th, 2021, 4 trees will be planted at the Groton Community Center playground. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Groton does hereby urge all citizens to support all efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated at Groton, Connecticut, this 30th day of April 2021, signed by Patrice Katowski, Mayor, Town of Groton.
You're muted.
Madam Mayor, you're muted.
Of course I am. I gave a whole set of instructions today at school, and the only kids who told me that I was muted were the kids sitting in front of me. Anyway, so we have 2021-328 proclamation recognizing National Public Works Week, May 16th through 23rd. And we are on to Councilor Franco. Please, thank you.
Thank you. Proclamation recognizing National Public Works Week, May 16th through 23rd, 2021, Stronger Together. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health. high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Town of Groton, Connecticut. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Town of Groton, Connecticut, to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2021 marks the 61st annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, be it now resolved that the Groton Town Council does hereby designate the week May 16th through 22nd, 2021 as National Public Works Week, and we urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and government agencies who through activities, events, and ceremonies pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Dated at Groton, Connecticut, this 4th day of May, 2021, signed the Mayor of the Town of Groton, Patrice Granatowski.
Thank you, Councilor Franco. We are on to 2021-342 proclamation recognizing National Economic Development Week. Councilor Heed, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's see. Proclamation recognizing National Economic Development Week. Whereas the International Economic Development, IEDC, has designated May 9th through May 15th, 2021 as National Economic Development Week. And whereas the International Economic Development Council is the largest professional membership organization for economic developers, and this recognition is in its 6th year. And whereas in 2016, IEDC recognized the unique role that economic development has in creating vibrant communities with strong economies. And whereas the Town of Groton Office of Planning and Development Services will recognize this occasion with a week-long social media campaign focusing on the importance of economic development. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Groton does hereby proclaim the week of May 9th through May 15th as Economic Development Week in the Town of Groton, and further resolved, the Town Council urges all citizens to take part during this extraordinary week and to tune into the town's website, www.groton-ct.gov, and enjoy the special presentations highlighting the value of economic development in Groton. Dated at Groton, Connecticut, this 4th day of May 2021, signed by Patrice Granatowski, Mayor of the Town of Groton.
Thank you, Councilor Heed. Mr. Burt, I'm seeing a new person in the panelists and I don't recognize the phone number. It ends with 8336.
I believe that's Mr. Melendez. I believe it's Mr. Melendez. He just said he called in.
Councilor Melendez, are you here?
Yes, that's me.
Thank you. So
yes, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. So as of 6:46, Councilor Melendez is with us. So we are now at 8 councilors. Thank you. Appreciate you calling in. All right. So the next item on our agenda is public hearings. And we have a public hearing this evening. It's 2021-1772, the Neighborhood Assistance Act. And this was on page 9 in your packet. And Madam Clerk, if you could read the call for the public hearing, please.
Can you recess the meeting to open the public hearing?
Oh, geez. I could, yes. I'm going to recess the town council meeting at 6:47. And we will open the public hearing, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Attention Groton residents, the Groton Town Council will conduct a public hearing on the Neighborhood Assistance Act program proposed by Sacred Heart School, has submitted a 2021 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act NAA proposal. The proposal is for energy efficiency upgrades at a total cost of $120,867. The Oddfellow Home of Connecticut, Inc., DBA doing business as Fairview, has submitted a 2021 Connecticut Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act and a proposal. This proposal is for PTAC replacements, which will come in as a cost of $117,590. The Avery Cup Museum, Inc. Has submitted a 2021 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act proposal. The proposal is for energy efficiency improvements at a cost of $19,600. Riverfront Children's Center has also submitted to the 2021 Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act proposal. The proposal is for energy efficiency upgrades at a cost of $56,116. This was put on our town website for Tuesday, May 4th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. with a virtual meeting. And we had, for further information, you'd contact the town manager's office, and there's a phone number. But this has been on the website for over 2 weeks. So we are well in our bounds of the law.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I have 3 people signed up for the public hearing. And I believe, let me take a quick look. Michelle Dean of the Riverfront Children's Development Center. Ms. Dean, did you wish to speak? Where is Ms. Dean? There she is.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, you have the floor.
Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Madam Clerk, councilors, and citizens. The Riverfront Children's Center is a nonprofit child care and early learning center located in the Thames River neighborhood of Groton. We have been providing high-quality, affordable child care to babies and young children for over 27 years, with a focus on low to moderate income families of southeastern Connecticut. Our nationally accredited program has helped thousands of children successfully make the transition from preschool to kindergarten by providing a play-based curriculum that stresses creative problem solving, social and emotional skills, and resiliency. We are applying for the Neighborhood Community Assistance Grant under the Energy Conservation Program to fund energy efficiency upgrades for our Thames Street campus that consists of 19,000 square feet of office and classroom space for our nonprofit child care and early learning center. We have collaborated with professionals from Groton Utilities, Lantern Energy, Ruby Glass, and Superior Insulation to assess our needs for upgrades to our lighting, doors, and insulation, which would lead to greater energy efficiency and a more pleasant place for our babies and young children to spend their days. The cost of the project will be approximately $61,000, with $50,000 in injection foam and blown-in cellulose insulation, $3,000 for a new insulated exterior front door, $8,000 in LED lighting upgrades, and $1,000 for calibrated water meters. Riverfront is requesting an award of $56,116, and we will be paying the balance of $6,000 from our own budget. It is our hope that our application will be well received and that our nonprofit child care center will be able to perform these essential upgrades quickly and affordably. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dean. Next on the list for the public hearing is Dr. Kingston, Gail Kingston.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and councilors. Sacred Heart School has been open since 1967. The school has educated children from pre-K 3 through 8th grade in the Groton area for over 64 years. Capital improvements are needed in order to continue to provide a quality education in a safe environment. Besides educating students at Sacred Heart School, we also open our doors to Alcoholics Anonymous, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Knights of Columbus, Legions of Mary, the school gym for basketball, for the surrounding area schools, and religious education. We're asking that we be able to install energy efficient heating and air conditioning units in the remainder of the school annex, upgrade outside school parking lot lights with energy efficient LED floodlights, replace the oil fired hot water heater at the school with an energy efficient one, and replace a portion of our school roof with an energy efficient one, totaling $120,867.
Thank you, Dr. Kingston. And Ms. Cunningham?
Good evening.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for having us all here tonight. It's greatly appreciated. I do have a letter to read into comments, but just a couple quick things before I do so. Special thank you to the staff of the town of Groton for guiding us all through this process. They have been helpful. offering us assistance and guidance all along the way. And a couple quick things. We're looking for approval through the Neighborhood Assistance Tax Credits Program to replace additional P-tax. We've come before you in the past through this program for P-tax, and P-tax are personal, they are personal, I always get this wrong, I'm so sorry. Packaged thermal air conditioners. That's why I always get it wrong. Packaged thermal air conditioners. So in the past, we've come before you. We have about 160 in our building at Fairview, and we've replaced 47. So we're in need of replacing over the coming years, 114 more. So with that, hopefully we'll be approved tonight through this program. And I do have a letter that you have on file, but I will read it into the record now. Dear Mayor Katowski, thank you to you and the Groton Town Council for making the Neighborhood Assistance Act tax credit program available for local nonprofits. Fairview has been a fortunate recipient of this program, and we are grateful. Fairview's mission is to inspire individuals to live their best lives by embracing our culture of independence, compassion, and community. We hope to inspire everyone, whether it be residents, family members, staff, or otherwise. Fairview is the only nonprofit healthcare center and life plan community in the region, and is consistently ranked among the top nursing homes in the country due to its commitment to exceptional care and compassion. Along with support from individuals, businesses, and our greater community, the Neighborhood Assistance Act tax credit program has helped Fairview to continue our tradition of excellence. Through the support from this program, Fairview has been able to upgrade many P-tax packaged thermal air conditioners in our skilled nursing facility. The importance of moving fresh air, heated and/or cooled properly through a health center cannot be minimized in lieu of the COVID-19 pandemic we have been dealing with since March 2020. Also, we will be upgrading our outdated lighting throughout the building to LED lighting, providing major energy savings that would not have been possible without the support from the Neighborhood Assistance Tax Credit Program. We are grateful for the opportunity to apply once again to participate in this program. Thank you to the town of Groton for being an active participant in this important state program, making a positive impact for many nonprofits and the individuals they serve. And I'm available for questions as well. Thank you very much for your time, everybody, this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. And I have no one else signed up to speak for the public hearing. Mr. Burt or Madam Clerk, did you have anyone else for the public hearing?
No.
All right, very good. So then we will adjourn the public hearing at 6:56. And we will return to the council meeting back from the public hearing at 6:56 p.m. Thank you. We are on to receipt of citizens' petitions, comments, and concerns. This is the portion of the council meeting where the council welcomes comments from citizens. To address the council, there was a process online where you signed up to speak. When recognized by the mayor, please state your name and address clearly for the record. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit comments in writing. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Town councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and can respond during the responses to citizens' petition portion of the meeting. All right. We have quite a few people signed up to speak this evening, and we'll take them in order in which the request was received. So the first person we have signed up to speak is David Precca. Mr. Precca, are you here with us, sir?
Yes.
Hello there.
Madam Mayor, Town Manager, Councilor, and everyone else, good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me here to be in front of you guys. I am here on behalf of Pleasant Valley. My name is, for record, my name is David Precca, owner of Advanced Group here locally in Groton. We employ just under 50 people. I'm going to emphasize the word local.
Mr. Precca, I'm sorry. I need your name and address for the record, sir.
Okay, David Precca, Advanced Improvements, 16 Susan Terrace, Waterford, Connecticut, 06385. Okay, so I'm here. I'm here on behalf of Pleasant Valley bid that was launched early or late last year, early this year. We were one of the bidders on this project. I want to extend a thanks to economic development for doing a wonderful job, the staff, and everyone else. So we were our partners and staff. We are geared to really work in town as we worked in the past and do a lot of development around, and again, emphasizing the word local. We were a little bit bummed that we came second in line, and being a local developer and bringing a lot around and using a lot of help and materials and so on and forth local. We are extending to the town councilors to see if second eyes would look at this, our proposal, to see if we could work on this project. We are very interested. We have lined up financing partners and so on. Our project, the demonstration of project, I wish I could show it to you tonight. It is really beautiful in our own eyes and our own partners, and we're looking to see if we could expand the word local and keep everything local. So at this time, I would like to ask all the councilors to consider our proposal to advance this and perhaps work with us and the town.
Thank you, Mr. Preka. Next on the list to speak is J.C. Ambrose. Mr. Ambrose, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good evening, Town Council. My name is Jean-Claude Ambrose, 169 Shanticosset Parkway. There's a lot to unpack since April 6th, and I am limited on time, so I am hoping that my elected officials can do the work to discover what has unfolded in the past month. I'm available to be reached by email if you have any questions. I have included documentation and links to support my factual claims. I spoke at the last Town Council public comment specifically on alleged multiple rules violations by a town councilor, and also the glaring lack of action by the Town Council Public Safety Committee after being handed a thoroughly created report by the RTM Core Committee that was sent to the Town Council by unanimous RTM vote. It included reasonable bipartisan recommendations that could have easily been enacted today with Town Council approval if the Town Council Public Safety Committee had done more with it in the past 5 months. When town councilors had the opportunity to respond at public comment, a councilor spoke to my comments in what I deemed a blathering manner, and I told them as such by replying on email, which you all received. This was meant in no disrespect. The definition of blathering is nonsensical talk, and if you look back to the response, in no way did the councilor truly address my concerns as to why nothing was done with this report and nothing is done in the Town Council Public Safety Committee. I did not receive any other correspondence from any other councilor that I mentioned in my public comments. Fast forward to April 14th, the counselor speaks to me face-to-face at my home, and I ask again the same questions I did previously at this meeting. In summary, they assured me that something will be done and a proposal will be presented soon. It was even said that I would be the first to be emailed when it does. Over a week passes and nothing, so I decided to comment on a social media post on theirs at 7:44 p.m. I then see a reply at 9:06 saying that the meeting is scheduled and is because the town manager does not post schedules till Fridays. I discovered this was false. After doing a FOI request, which is my legal right, it was realized that at 9:03 the requests were scheduled to the meeting that was actually occurring. It was requested at 9:03. It appears that I had to remind the chairman to do the job he swore an oath to do, and the excuse made blaming town staff was grossly inaccurate. Between this time, there were multiple attempts by elected officials and town employees to request a proposal that had been included in the meeting, to be included in the meeting agenda, and nothing appeared. As a member of the RTM and moderator for one term, when I saw the 4-hour meeting of the Town Council Public Safety Committee I watched, I was shocked on April 30th. When I was a chairman of the moderator, my objective was to be fair, balanced, and follow Robert's Rules of Order. This meeting was anything but that. Multiple rules violations, including Town Council Rule 8 point of order guidelines, were not followed. This happened at least 4 times, and the chair failed to recognize any of them in proper order. This included a brief clip at 2 hours and 29 minutes where the chairman uggs and laughs as another committee member reads part of the court report item saying that Groton citizens have rights and says that. The biggest grievance I have is when an exchange occurred somewhere between the time of 2 hours and 45 minutes and 2 hours and 55 minutes when my name was mentioned and my words were either used out of context and at another time were used without proper attribution by the chairman, which made my words appear to be inflammatory and potentially racist in nature to some. It then concluded with the chairman saying that I should be ashamed of myself for saying what I did to a town councilor for being disrespectful. I am in no way ashamed of speaking the truth, and I stand by what I said. Remember, folks, the Town Council Rules and Procedures Committee had to change the rules to limit discussion amongst members of this body for talking too much. You all voted to stop blathering. In summary, I would like to recommend to the Town Council that due to these recent events, that the chairman of the Town Council Public Safety Committee resign or be removed by the Town Council from the chairmanship due to lack of decorum, professionalism, preparedness, and following the proper meeting procedures that have been routinely exhibited by the chairman. Thank you for your time this evening.
Next on the list is Ken Mayer. Mr. Mayer?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the Groton Town Council. My name is Ken Mayer, and I live at 88 Ann Avenue in Mystic. In an article in the Day newspaper on April 21st, headlined, "Mystic Developers Past Charges Surface, Town Officials Expect No Impact to Project," we learned disturbing news concerning the past criminal activity of Mr. Jeffrey Respler, the quote-unquote preferred developer for the Mystic Oral School site. I commented to the article that while I found this news about Mr. Respler disturbing, I found the comments from our town manager, Mr. John Burt, even more so. What is disturbing is that Mr. Burt has quote-unquote faith in Respler Homes and Jeffrey Respler, a man who at the age of 43 or so took a plea deal on bribery charges. Mr. Burt dismisses this as a misdemeanor and said that he wouldn't want an old misdemeanor to derail the project. I have to ask, what would he have been charged with if not for the plea deal? Mr. Burt has quote-unquote faith in a man accused of inflating real estate prices to kick back a portion to a union president. The money used to pay for the inflated property came from the Plumbers Union Trade Education Fund. Given the size of this project, the impacts to infrastructure and public safety, the potential for lost future tax revenue to reimburse this developer, and the developer's past criminal activity, I do not want to hear my town manager using the word faith. I want my town manager to exercise due diligence, to fully scrutinize any and all developers and their proposals, and certainly not rely on faith. I see this as another in a long line of missteps on the part of the town manager and the Office of Planning and the Development Management team. An incomplete vetting of someone who stands to walk away with millions in taxpayer money, a complete lack of transparency. Taxpayers have been unable to obtain key documents related to the project and have been forced to issue Freedom of Information requests to acquire. When we are finally able to review, for example, the request for proposals, we find that the Respler proposal is missing critical documents such as the anti-collusion affidavit and anti-kickback agreement. Certainly seems relevant now. There has been an update on this front. The two documents in question have been added to the RFPs. Of course, we were made aware of this through Mr. Repler's public relations manager on social media, a PR manager hired to clean up Mr. Respler's public image and explain away his past criminal activity. Regarding another facet of the Respler proposal, the taxpayers can't get a straight answer on the use of TIF. In fact, all we find on the Town of Groton Office of Planning and Development website is pro-TIF propaganda. I expect salaried employees in these positions to represent me, the taxpayer, and scrutinize the developers and the financing schemes. Where is the risk analysis? What are the risks to a project this size? And what is the risk mitigation plan? It leads me to ask, who is this management team working for? It is time to take a look at town management and how they vet developers, their proposals, funding methods, and public disclosures. Given the developments of the last few weeks, I can only conclude that they've done this town council and the people of Groton a disservice. As a town council, we count on you to provide oversight of the day-to-day business of governing. No easy task. We rely on you to demand integrity and ethics on the part of all Groton government employees, and I do not doubt that you do. I expect our town managers as salaried professionals to hold those same values and to represent all Groton residents and taxpayers and our best interests. Unfortunately, In light of the issues I raised in my comment above, I'm having my doubts. I feel at this point it is time to dismiss Mr. Respler as the preferred developer of the Mystic Oral School site and to hold public hearings on the remaining previously rejected development proposals. In addition, an immediate moratorium should be placed on all development projects until this town council can complete an independent audit of the town manager's office, including all departments that fall under his supervision and its processes. Something is wrong here, and I personally am losing confidence in the belief that the Groton town manager works for me and my fellow citizens. And as I did in an email letter to this town council, I'd like to leave you with the following quote from the legendary Dr. Maya Angelou. She said, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, I did not hear Mr. Mayor's address. Did he give it?
Yes, he did. 88 Ann Avenue.
Where is that located?
That is in District 5, sir. We are on to Janet Mayer, please.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Janet Mayer, 88 Ann Avenue, Mystic, Connecticut. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. We would like to express our opposition to the Mystic River Bluffs development and ask for your help on a number of questions. Traffic. How can the dangerously narrow Cow Hill and busy Allen Street accommodate 2,000 to 5,000 more car trips per day? TIF. Studies on TIF demonstrate that TIF is risky and often fails with costs to taxpayers. Exactly what will be required as far as TIF for this development? What will be the cost to the taxpayer? Water, sewer, road enhancements, building renovations, all are costs. Research. The proposed development does not appear to be aligned with the Groton Plan of Conservation and Development, which is a very comprehensive, well-done document with maps showing significant habitat and areas sensitive to development. Nowhere on the map of potential new dwelling units under full build out does it suggest that we should have densities of this level. Process transparency and outreach. Finding information on the development plans has been difficult, including locating the submitted requests for proposals. When we did find the scanned proposals, the Respler proposal was missing the non-collusion affidavit and anti-kickback acknowledgement, which have since been added online in a separate document. What was the process for choosing this development? Who was responsible for the choice? And how was it chosen? Are we sending the message that zoning is meaningless in Groton? Choose a developer, then attempt to change the zoning to accommodate the development without first consulting the town's development plans or the residents? What promises have been made to this developer at this point? Promoting honest government. We read the recent day newspaper report on Jeffrey Respler's past criminal charges. We were referred to the following in the semi-annual report to Congress, volume 53, Office of Inspector General, U.S. Department of Labor. Quote, Jeffrey Respler, owner of Plumbing Solutions Incorporated, pled guilty on December 3rd, 2004 to conspiring with Donald Sclafani, president of Plumbers Union Local 1, to sell property at an inflated rate and kick back the $1.3 million difference to Sclafani. The money was used to pay for the inflated property came from the Plumbers Union Trade Education Fund. Respler also pled guilty to bribing New York City plumbing inspectors and to committing perjury. This investigation was conducted jointly with EBSA, the Employees Benefit Security Administration, the New York State Attorney General's Office's Organized Crime Task Force, and the New York City Department of Environmental Protection, OIG. Our hearts sank when we read the part about the Union Education Fund. Please look at the number of agencies involved in this investigation. This was a serious case with a serious investigation by trusted agencies on the federal, state, and city level, and should not be dismissed as a minor offense, as I believe Mr. Respler implied. In light of what has transpired, we ask the town council to withdraw its support of this development and conduct a thorough review of all processes before any development is selected, as we count on you, the town council, to be the body for oversight, reason, ethics, and integrity. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Mayer. Next, we have Attorney Edward McCousher.
Thank you.
Yes,
Madam-
sir.
Yes, Edward McCousher, 48 West Elderkin Avenue in Groton. I'm representing, as you know, a number of the neighbors of the Mystic Oral School property. I submitted a letter to you today with, among other things, a transcript of the sentencing of Jeffrey Respler in 2004. The reason I submitted it to you is previously I had submitted a letter and Mr. Respler spoke to the town manager and the London Day and basically took no responsibility for any of the charges that were pled guilty by him. But if you read the transcript, it's clear that he lied to both the manager and to the New London Day. And, you know, to characterize what he pled to 4 counts of conspiracy, but the conspiracies, every one of them by the Public Law 105.5 in New York, is for conduct which constitutes a felony, which included bribery, kickbacks, fraudulent real estate transaction, filing of fraudulent instruments, and also perjury. As part of the sentence, he was ordered to pay restitution, $360,000, $75,000, and then there was up to $300,000 that was going to be paid, I think, to the plumbers union for his failure to pay proper wages. The plumbers union, even though he was ordered to do this by the court, the plumbers union had to sue him. That's where I found the transcript. They had to sue him for the restitution that the court ordered. And that case went on for quite a while. It was ultimately settled and dismissed, and then had to be reopened because Mr. Respler still hadn't fulfilled, you know, the conditions of the settlement. I also attached a case in Nassau, from Nassau County in the Supreme Court in New York. In that case, Mr. Respler had received a variance for an an above ground pool. And he then convinced the building inspector to give him a permit to build an indoor pool, which was also not in the location it was supposed to be, and, you know, higher walls. Anyway, the Board of Appeals, took action to prevent him from doing that. He then appealed to a court. The court denied his appeal, and I quoted in my letter some of the statements that the court made. I'd like to read them into the record. The court said, "It should also be noted that petitioner's credibility," petitioner is Mr. Respler, "and the prior inspector's credibility were a major issue for this court throughout the hearing." Another quote, "In short, what went on with the prior inspector certainly does not pass the smell test." This is all in 2016. The court has also determined that the former building inspector's decision to allow the outdoor pool to be treated as an enclosed pool was not a reasonable interpretation. Even the inspector testified that this was an error on his part. However, the court is not convinced that it was not more than that, implying that there was something untoward that happened that convinced the building inspector to do, to issue this permit. And these are examples of what I think is a problem that we have, is that Mr. Respler seems to say one thing and then do another. He can't be relied on. He's dishonest. These are all concerns. We're in a partnership with him, and those concerns also, involve with my concern, and I think it should be your concern, that he has not performed what he's supposed to do under the development agreement. A couple of things which are important. One, within 9 months, he was supposed to provide a lease to the town.
You have 1 minute remaining, sir.
Yes. And the other was that he was supposed to, within 90 days, present TIF information. Now, the council presented an opinion piece in the day, which touted that we're going to get more taxes from this property and the Pratt building is going to be renovated. But without those documents, we don't know. And there are costs involved. The taxes are not going to accrue under a TIF to the town. They're going to accrue to the developer. So my concern is that, I don't know if you're relying on staff or why there hasn't been more curiosity on your part about these costs, because they're real. They're part of the development agreement. And it's and the public should know what the costs are. And I certainly think you need to know. So I'm urging you to enforce this agreement and not cut any slack to this gentleman you're in a partnership with, because, you know, if you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCousher. Next up is Roseanne Katowski.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Roseanne Katowski, 24 Ann Avenue, RTM District 5. I do not support the Mystic Oral School property mega development proposal and have given the town council many reasons, many times over the past few years. It is too big for the property and it doesn't fit in with the character of the neighborhood at all, period. But let's back this up a bit. For a minute, let's put aside the criminal information about the developer. Does the town council understand and know the details of this project? Or have you been bamboozled by town staff and the developer? Councilor Obrey gave wrong information at the March Town Council meeting that was never retracted at the April Town Council meeting. She stated that the selection committee for this proposal had an RTM member on it, that the project had a public hearing, and that the selection committee meetings were in public. All are wrong. But why does Councilor Obrey believe these things that are wrong? What other information does the town council believe regarding the mega development that is wrong? On a personal note, I know most of you. Some of you I have been out for a cocktail with. One of you and I like to discuss Polish food. One of you always gives me a hug when we see each other. One of you has a son who loves my pistachio cake. And one of you I have known for over 20 years. Knowing what I know about the Mystic Oral School mega development proposal and what I know about all of you, I cannot understand why you support it. So what's happening here? It's a fact that town staff withheld documents from the Planning and Zoning Commission, important documents. Town staff released more documents today that were being withheld from the public in an FOI response. What documents and information did they withhold from the town council? That seems like a reasonable question to ask. And if the town council did have those documents and information at the appropriate time, would we be where we are right now? Why would the town council be supporting a mega development out in the middle of nowhere in the northeast section of town? A mega development that there is nothing of its size east of the Connecticut River. It's a fact that the developer is not complying with the development agreement with the town. The town council should be very concerned about this. Why? Because if the developer will not comply with signed agreements, how can the town council trust the developer to comply with building and zoning regulations, deadlines, and most importantly, TIF? It has been repeatedly stated by the developer in the town that this project cannot move forward without TIF money. TIF is taxpayer dollars recycled back to the developer. And you should know that many municipalities are outlawing it. Will the town council be able to trust the developer with the taxpayers' hard-earned money? Here is some information that deserves some town council research. The taxpayers are paying for Horsley Witten to rewrite the zoning regulations for the Planning and Zoning Commission. That's a fact. What does the town council know about the Mystic Oral School property regulations rewrite? Does the town council believe that this document is a neutral document that could apply to any developer? It is not. That's a fact. How do we know this? Because in the January 15, 2021 rewrite of the zoning regulations, there are comments, suggestions, and questions from the developer. That's a fact. The density section in the document discusses 5,000 square feet of gross lot area per dwelling unit, but then describes, quote, bonus density. What's that? It turns out that there are at least 21, quote, bonus incentives that will allow the developer to increase density.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Meaning that the developer will be allowed to increase density above and beyond what is in the planning and zoning regulations written for the Mystic Oral School property. I encourage the town council to research the details of the regulations and the development agreement. Now is the time to end the relationship between the town of Groton and the developer. Why? Because the developer is not complying with the development agreement, as well as the recent information regarding the developer's criminal past, are important reasons to end the agreement. Again, ask yourself, how could the town council ever trust this developer with the taxpayers' hard-earned TIF money? Right now is the perfect opportunity to protect the town of Groton and end this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Katowski. Next, we have Scott Westervelt. Mr. Westervelt? Mr. Westervelt? Did you still wish to speak, Mr. Westervelt? I can see him, but I'm not sure. Mr. Westervelt?
Okay, finally, sorry. My phone would not
That's okay.
unmute.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Town Councilors. My name is Scott Westervelt. I live at 7 Boulder Court in Mystic, Connecticut. I'm speaking to you today on behalf of the 100+ members of Mystic Oral School Advocates. Our name stems from the fact that most of the neighbors in Old Mystic around the property know this as the Mystic Oral School. The Town Council, with respect to the proposed development, in general knows it as the Mystic Education Center. We are drawing on the historical distinction in our efforts to advocate for the protection and responsible development of the property as a semi-rural neighborhood. The Town Council and staff calls the development at MEC, which removes any connotation that this is a neighborhood, thus making it easier for the rest of the Town Council and the taxpayers of Groton to accept, ignoring Old Mystic. We don't feel that the planning department nor the Town Council care at all about the nature of the property in an effort to secure valuable land where they can maximize future tax revenue. We, Mystic Oral School Advocates, believe that potential tax revenue is why the other projects were rejected, even the one that gave a guaranteed sum of money from the Groton Housing Authority, and the one where the developer was going to pay for everything, basically, which was the school for foreign exchange students. That's my explanation for why we are the Mystic Oral School Advocates. But here's some food for thought. Basic reasons why this project is not just wrong, but bad for Groton. I'd like to believe that the planning department did a fantastic job at hiding the true cost of this project to the Town Council. Otherwise, I have to believe that the Town Council just blindly accepted what they were given with no due diligence when it comes to the necessary infrastructure improvements, such as water, sewer, and roadways. Are the taxpayers of Groton going to bear the cost of these infrastructure improvements? The roadway improvements alone are going to be north of $500,000 to make those 2 intersections capable of handling the extra traffic. I also believe that no due diligence was given to the potential destruction of the wetlands leading down to the River Road, or the potential disruption of water supply to the wells on Oral School Road or Boulder Court. Now, what I mean by that is there's no definition for who's going to own the roadway that goes through this property. If it belongs to the developer and belongs to the development, it doesn't have to follow all of the guidelines that we in the town use for building roads, which means who is going to determine where that runoff is going to go. If you build that ring road all the way around, including on the hill that leads down through the wetlands to the River Road, that's likely to destroy those wetlands. When the developer decides he has to blast because he's going 2 floors below grade to build a parking garage, every house on Boulder Court is on a well. And I believe most of the houses on Oral School Road are also on wells. What happens to our water supply? And then if our water supply is disrupted, how do we recover from that? And who pays to fix it? Is that when Aquarian has to come in and bring new city water to our properties, which is going to be borne by the taxpayers? I don't think this has been well thought out of. That's why I believe that this project and the direction that it's going is bad for the town of Groton, bad for the taxpayers, and it's certainly bad for the neighborhoods surrounding the Mystic Oral School. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Westervelt. Next on the list is John Waller. Is Mr. Waller with us this evening? I see him on the list. Good evening, sir. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is John Waller at 116 Godfrey Road in Mystic. Madam Mayor, members of the council, town staff, and my fellow Groton residents, this is the fourth time that I'm appearing before you. And I want to commend all of my neighbors who are participating in this democratic process, in particular in debating the merits or not of the Mystic River Bluffs development project. I want to take this opportunity to again register my support for the project. I support the economic development that the project will bring to the town. I do appreciate the concerns of those neighbors of the property. I say that I'm very much looking forward to the actual proposal from Restler Homes. There are a number of unanswered questions that we'll only really be able to contemplate once the proposal is put in front of us. So I, as one, very much look forward to seeing the proposal. But until then, I continue to support, in general, the Mystic River Bluffs project. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Waller. Next up is Sandra Lobb. I saw Ms. Lobb's name. Ms. Lobb, you have the floor.
Good evening and thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. I live at 28 Mechanic Street in Pawcatuck, Connecticut. This is a very enlightening council session. I have no written statement, and so I'm going to speak from my heart about my initial desire to speak for an arts space in the Mystic River Bluffs plan, the theater, the rehearsal spaces, the art spaces, the room to rehearse for music, to have events for the community to participate in. I'm on the advisory board of the Emerson Collaborative Theater, a 14-year-old theater that is devoted to underserved community and to youth that has not had a home in Mystic. A real home has had the grace of the Willow Street Church in Mystic as a place to live, but needs a space, as does the Lyric Opera and other arts organizations. But listening to the new news that I'm hearing tonight is enlightening, and I would propose that there be some way that there could be a guarantee from the developer about monies that he would be responsible for this renovation of the Pratt building. Those buildings that he says would be a part of the phase 1 development, which includes that theater and the swimming pool and the renovation of all those buildings. How could he be held to account for a timeline and the monies that would be needed to actually accomplish those goals? I feel like this is a futuristic project that is in general a positive one. I think the 10,000 plus jobs that EB is going to offer, and Pfizer, and all of those employers, people need to live somewhere. They need to, yes, live, work, and play in a new area. And I believe that there is some merit to this plan. I would like to hear more, and I'm eager to be a part of the process as the public and this private developer moves forward, and perhaps there can be some kind of rapprochement so that everyone is, compromises are made, but that people in general are happy with the process. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lobb. Next up, we have Tammy De La Cruz.
Hi, thank you. My name is Tammy De La Cruz. I live at 95 Quarry Road at Groton. First of all, I think a lot of people tend to not give thanks to the town council, and I just personally want to thank all of the town councilors. I have and I will continue to rely on you to do your due diligence on this project. I have faith in you, and I also want to say a shout out to our town manager, who I actually have his personal cell phone number when he felt like, when I felt like I needed some guidance and some help. He has been one of the best that I've ever dealt with. So I just want to say thank you to him. That also being said, I'm in favor of the Mystic River Bluffs. This property has been sitting empty since 2011. Many of the remaining buildings are falling in disrepair, and the property remains sitting empty today. We have a developer that has had come up with some beautiful plans. I'm looking at the beautiful plans. From what I understand, the developer is willing to downsize and work for a compromise. I've looked over the plans, and I can only say that I am so excited for Groton. The property is beautiful, and there is so much potential to turn a vacant, rundown area into a beautiful, revitalized place for all of Groton to enjoy. Groton cannot continue to sit back and leave prime property to just sit and rot away. I ask that we keep in mind that all of Groton, when we continue to hear the concerns, unfortunately, we usually only hear the parties against a project. I'm happy to hear that there was a few on tonight that were for the project, but I'm here to say I am in favor and hope that you guys will consider all of Groton when you make decisions for this project. And that being said, again, I want to thank everybody. I think that we need to let the process happen. There are some things that have come to light. Some of this happening in 2004, 2005, things do happen, but I have complete faith that our town councilor and our manager will do their due diligence and look over this property and this proposal and do what they think is best for Groton. So I stand with you guys. And I just really want to say, I don't want to continue to leave this beautiful area that could use some revitalization, but I don't want to leave this area to go find this kind of experience. I want people to come and see their welcome sign to Groton and know that everybody is truly welcome to Groton, and bring in new people. So that's what I wanted to come and say today. And again, thank you to the town council. Too many times we hear the negative, and I thank you for your service to Groton, and I have utmost confidence that you guys are doing what you need to do, and you're researching what you need to do what's best for Groton. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. De La Cruz. Next on the list, we have Mike Whitney. Mr. Whitney, are you here? I thought I saw Mr. Whitney's name on the list.
I've had to promote him to panelist because he was on an older system.
Oh, okay, very good. Mr. Whitney, you have the floor, sir. Mr. Whitney? Mike, are you there? Mr. Whitney, one more time. You have the floor, sir. He's unmuted. Is he able to speak? Mr. Bird, is he is able to speak, correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And he's unmuted. All right, one more time. Mr. Whitney, you have the floor, sir. Okay, we can come back. That is all that I have signed up to speak. Mr. Burt, did you have anyone else that signed up as per the policy online?
No, we have no one else.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so we are on to
a moment.
Response to citizens petitions, but I wanted to recognize Attorney Callahan. I believe Attorney Callahan is here.
Yes.
Just to speak briefly. One moment, please. I think Mr. Whitney might be trying again to get in. Hold on one second, please. Mr. Whitney, I'm not seeing him now. It looks like he's gone. Okay, Mr. Whitney, if you can hear, you are welcome to submit written comments to us, and they will become part of the record for the evening. You can send them to council at groton-ct.gov, and all the counselors will get them, and they would become part of the meeting record tonight, sir. All right, thank you so much. So let's go to Attorney Callahan to start us off, I believe.
Before we
Excuse
move on,
sorry?
I have a letter that I received from a citizen who wanted it to be read into the record.
Okay, I would ask also that I believe there may be another letter as well, but if we could just please keep them to the same constraints as the people who came in person, please. So if you could keep them to under 5 minutes, please. Thank you. So Councilor Franco, if you can give the name and address of the author, please, and then you can begin your letter.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to let you know an attendee's Michael Whitney came back in.
Thank you. Councilor Franco, would you mind holding up for 1 second to see if we can get Mr. Whitney back in here?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Burt, did you move? Oh, there's Mr. Whitney. We can't hear you. Can you try speaking again? You can't. We can't hear you speaking, and you are unmuted on our end. Can you? You can hear me, correct, Mr. Whitney? Okay. So what I had said earlier, I think when we had lost you, was that you are welcome to type up an email or a letter and send it to us, and it will become part of the record for this evening, sir. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Oh, the wonders of technology. All right, so we are going, thank you, Councilor Bordelon, for noticing that Mr. Whitney was back. All right, so we will start. Councilor Franco is going to read another citizen's petition is what we're doing. We're not doing responses. We are reading another citizen's petition. So Councilor Franco, if you could give the author's name and address, please.
Is Stephen Artell of Shanacosset Road in Groton City?
It's Parkway.
Parkway, excuse me. This is a email that he sent to me personally, and I forwarded it to the town clerk and the council and to Mr. Burt. And it is titled Response to Public Safety Committee Meeting, April 29, 2001, and request. Please have this read into the records at the town council meeting on May 4th, 2021. This letter was written on April 30th, 2021 for reference following the Public Safety Committee meeting. I would like to foremost applaud your continued leadership, diligence, and professionalism that is continually demonstrated at all Groton government meetings. You have continually demonstrated the proper preparedness and decorum we should expect from our elected officials. On that note, my correspondence to you is prompted by the complete lack of progress and courtesy exhibited by your fellow councilors at the Public Safety Committee meeting on April 29th, 2021. I was able to watch this meeting and believe that the meeting was poorly run, and more concerning, you were continually talked down to, disrespected, and spoken over by Councilor Baumgartner, who appeared to believe rules need not apply to him. Thank you for your professionalism, even while you were being belittled by a peer. This is the type of behavior that prompted my polite letter to the New London Day requesting Councilor Baumgartner's resignation. In addition to the meeting being unprofessional, it was largely an unproductive 4 hours. In my opinion, and with the utmost respect, I must call attention Councilor Bordelon, who continually delays any form of decision-making and is quick to request additional meetings while appearing to be completely unprepared. It would also seem that your fellow councilors have a fundamental misunderstanding of Robert's Rules of Order, which these meetings are founded on. This is by no means a personal attack, just an observation after watching many Town of Groton meetings. I am hoping to see more effective and orderly meetings in the future. The lack of a proposal being forwarded to the Public Safety Committee to the Council is disheartening, given the length of time the committee has had while ignoring the well-researched recommendations from the RTM for months. I also found it frustrating to watch members of the same party continue to lack effectiveness and civility. The only bright spot on that meeting was that you continued to demonstrate the qualities of leadership I mentioned previously and set a great example for our community. Thank you for your service, and you can count on my vote later this year should you decide to run for council. town council for an additional term. In closing, I ask the council adopt the core report recommendations as originally presented by the RTM. Best, Steve Artel, Groton City.
Thank you. Mr. Whitney has his hand up again. We're going to try one more time. Mr. Whitney.
Yes, I think you should be able to hear me now.
Yes, good job. Thank you. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I switched my phone. I think my computer got offended when it's called an older system. So my name is Mike Whitney. My address is 112 Deerfield Ridge Drive, Mystic. And I'm just asking to speak a little bit about the Mystic Oral School and then specifically the Mystic River Bluffs proposed project. I just want to echo the concerns that many have raised, but particularly the zoning changes here are going to be big, and it's a heavy lift for the zoning commission. It's currently at RU 80, which is very light development, but also something that's not brought up as much is the property sits on both a water resource protection zone in zoning and also coastal area management. And I'd like to hear more about what that entails and what that involves. Also, it's probably archaeologically significant. And so any new buildings, I don't know what provisions are being made for archaeological digs to protect that history. And then one of my big concerns is traffic, but thinking forward to that, I was just on exit 74 in East Lyme this weekend, and that whole area was redesigned because of a smaller apartment complex put in and that anchor Costco. And it's much better. I don't see anything happening for our exit there, 89. And it's already a problem. It's going to be really bad both ways in the Mystic if this development of such a size comes through. So I have real concerns about the size of the development. I just don't see it as fitting in size-wise to the area. And in the infrastructure, we haven't done anything about that. But overall, what I'd like to say is I've heard comments at the zoning commissions, at grassroots meetings and that we've held, and here at town council citizen positions. But I'd like to ask the town council to hold a special meeting on this and provide what answers can be provided. The zoning commission did this to the limits of their charge, and it was very useful, but many of the questions are just not in their purview, and getting that answers in a public forum from the town council would be very helpful, because we want to plan strategically and wisely and listen to the concerns that people have and give answers where they can be given. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Whitney. Perseverance, right? All right. So I am seeing another hand. It's Ms. Tillman, Wanda Beth Tillman, and she is indicating that she had signed up to speak and was left off the list, and she was not on the list. But I would ask the council's indulgence to permit Ms. Tillman to speak at this point under citizens petitions for 5 minutes, if that's not objectionable. Ms. Tillman?
Good evening, Mayor.
Yeah,
and councilors. Can you hear me?
We can, but there's a little bit of a buzz going, so I'm not sure how it's going to affect the communication, but go ahead and give it a shot.
Okay, I would like to state that if the town council were to propose for the Mystic Oral School property a much smaller development in keeping with the surrounding neighborhood, I would put my full support behind such a project. I cannot put my support behind a project of 931 apartments, which would effectively double the population of the Mystic side of Groton. It is too large, too dense, and the major problem is that there will be far too much traffic on roads that are already overused, with a potentially 5,000 car in and outs per day based on a full build out, plus having additional, if the Pratt building were able to be renovated, which is highly doubtful, I have walked that property many times in many of the open houses, and I know the deplorable state that most of those buildings are in, the asbestos hellhole that exists in most of those properties, and the wretched, deplorable condition of the Pratt building. I do not think that the developer will ever spend the amount of money that it will take to renovate the theater, the pool, and the building. It is, unfortunately, as are most of those buildings, save one, absolutely rotten to the core. The amount of tax revenue that we will have generated by this project is questionable. There are so many calls for tax relief to build this project. There is no real projection that I have seen, except for far down the road, that there will ever be a positive income to the town of Groton from this particular project. We also have not had considered the number of infrastructure upgrades to town roads, to sewer, to electrical, to all of the support things that are required to be able to put this project in. And then I have all my two matches, and those are unfortunately too long. And I also have the two littles. And there's too little confidence that a floating zone can be used properly by a developer in whom I have little confidence because of his prior convictions for malfeasance in a privileged position. He has abused the public trust. He continues to abuse the public trust. I would like to think that it's far enough in his past that it would not have any impact on us now. But a 2016 with questionable smelly that the judge talked about influence over a building inspector gives me, quite frankly, the heebie-jeebies. I want nothing to have to do with this man. I'm also very concerned that the process by which he was chosen as the preferred developer is massively flawed. This is not the first time that the state, in its effort to revitalize properties that have been sitting for far too long, underutilized and decaying, has chosen a developer with a criminal past. Please, in those cases, their criminal acts were uncovered and they were no longer preferred developers. Please look at this man's background, see how little trust and confidence we can have in him, know that we have no recourse if it's all TIF money being used to underwrite this development. What do we do when he leaves us with a partially finished project or he abandons a partially finished project? I ask you please to examine this very carefully, because I do not want to see another mistake in the town of Groton, especially not of this huge, irreversible impact. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Tillman. Attorney Callahan, at this point, if you would like to address the council briefly, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the Town Council. I can certainly appreciate the public comments that were provided tonight and the importance of being able to provide those comments. With regard to both Mr. Preca's comments about the Pleasant Valley School and the numerous public comments, both for and against the Mystic Education Center project, it would be my legal advice that the Town Council not comment or respond tonight to those public comments made about both projects or the selection process for developers related to same. There can be legal ramifications to your comments. We can certainly discuss those comments at a future executive session so you can have a confidential discussion about any options the town may have. or you could use the time after tonight to seek information from town staff to be able to better respond to the comments, as I'm sure the town staff would disagree with a lot of the assertions raised tonight. So my advice would be not to respond to any comments tonight.
Thank you, Attorney Callahan. All right, so Councilor Aubrey, you had your hand up for response to citizens petitions.
And you're muted.
You're muted, Councilor Aubrey.
Councilor Aubrey, you're muted.
You're still muted.
There we go.
There you go. Thank you.
I apologize for the delay. Roseanne, at a meeting in April, stated at that time that I had misspoken. After the meeting where I did in error talk about the project that was going on for Pleasant Valley in error, I contacted the town clerk. I told her that I had spoken in error. I spoke to the council and corrected my statement. And I do have to say, I never saw it in the minutes, but I certainly know that I made the statement. I apologize for the fact that I had mixed up two different committee meetings, and short of throwing myself in front of Roseanne's car, I'm not quite sure what I can do to correct this, but I have said that I was in error. I was referring to the meeting that did have a representative from the RTM. And so I hope we can cease to discuss that. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Aubrey. We are on to Councilor Bordelon for response to citizens petitions. You have the floor.
Thank you. In response to what we can and not say and say, I don't know, I kind of just feel like we have public comment response here. I understand there might be some ramifications, but I feel like we probably should have had that special meeting prior to this if there's something further that this town feels that we should know or discuss. I just feel like it's a disservice to the community to let them speak and then say you can't respond to them based on this, and we'll talk to you later about it. So I have concerns about that. With that, I'd like to publicly withdraw my name of the support for the Mystic Bluffs build. I'm for economic development. I think that that is a great opportunity up there, but at this time, I'm not saying it wouldn't change down the road, but at this time, I do not feel comfortable supporting it based on the allegations and assumptions and things that have come before us. I too researched the information online. With that, I have a lot of respect for Mr. McCousher. He's an attorney in our town, and we've yet been, as a council, had the ability to go before him and hear what he has to say. I do have concerns, and this was a project that was started before I was appointed and then elected to my seat, and I did meet with town staff prior to, and I have concerns about the Pratt building and this lease agreement and what the glorified caveat that we were going to get is a great in retrospect, but until it's signed and done, who knows? We'll be paying a large lease for something that we don't own. I also asked, would we have a right of refusal if they were to sell this property or go bankrupt? What would happen to that Pratt building? Would we have a first right of refusal? So at this time, again, I state I am pulling my name from the support of that Pratt building, not the Pratt building, the Mystic Bluffs, and I will continue to watch, research, and ask the questions. Maybe an audit or further investigation and thought into this should be done, but at this time, I will not go forward. And as a town councilor, I feel limiting us to say what we can and not say before a meeting of public comment is a disservice to the constituents at large. I think there's a better platform that we could have presented tonight and in which we could have addressed this and been more prepared for this. In regards to David Precca, I'm not sure of all the ins and outs on that. Again, we have two counselors appointed for development. That was something else that was part of this council prior to me coming. Councilor Heed and Aubrey are on that.
Councilor Bordelon?
Yep. I'm still responding to
Councilor Bordelon, I would just ask you to please keep in mind what the town attorney just requested of us, please.
I understand that. I have a right to speak on my part. My feeling is, and once again, I'm speaking about the council, the arrangement that we have 2 counselors that serve and help look for development, which I respect. At other meetings, we have stated that it maybe would be better to have more counselors involved. So,
Councilor Melendez, what is your point of order, sir?
Our attorney just told us that we should not respond to specifically Mr. Preka, as it could open us to legal jeopardy. So I feel like no counselor should respond in any way to that. Thank you.
Your point is taken. Councilor Bordelon, please refrain from further discussion about the matters of which
speaking about the formality of how we
not to speak of. Thank you.
And that if that's the case, I'm speaking to the formality of how we look at economic development and our structure of our council. And we have 2 counselors on there, and they do a great job. But I feel it should be more broadly open to the council. I think Councilor Franco had spoke about that at one meeting, and I feel that we would be more informed, and I think we should change our process. Thank you.
I will recognize other counselors to respond, but I would ask again that we please heed our town attorney's advice. There's a reason why we have a town attorney. Only one counselor is an attorney, and we need their legal advice to protect the citizens of Groton. So I would ask you please to mind what the town attorney has cautioned us. Thank you. With that, Councilor Franco, you have the floor.
Thank you. I would like to thank everybody for coming out and speaking. I hear your concerns, and I think as a counselor, a lot of us would like to talk to you, but under the advisement of our legal attorney, the town's attorney, we must also, as counselors, protect our town as well until we have an opportunity to discuss these matters with the attorney. So as much as we would like to discuss, we are not in a position to discuss them at this time. And I think going into any other kind of dialogue is not doing our duty as a counselor to take care of our town at this time. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, Councilor Aubrey, we are on to Roman numeral 7. Would you move the consent calendar, please?
What page was that, please?
Page 11.
Just 1 second. I was looking for what I spoke about, so I've got myself out of order.
You can just say, I move the consent calendar, and that's sufficient.
Oh, move the consent calendar, please.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Franco.
Moved by Aubrey and seconded by Franco to move the consent calendar. This includes the special meeting minutes of the meeting minutes of March 25th, April 6th, and April 27th, as well as the trust fund contributions. Any discussion on any of the items in the consent calendar? Councilor Aubrey, do you have an item for discussion on the consent calendar?
If it's appropriate, I just want to say thank you very much to the people that have been very generous with their donations.
That is definitely appropriate, and I think we heartily support that and second what you've just said. Thank you so much. Seeing no discussion, we will vote on the consent calendar. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. And I forgot to mention, we are at 9 counselors. Councilor Parker arrived during citizens petitions at 7:14. So the consent calendar was moved unanimously with 9 counselors. All right. We are on to communications and reports. This is other than committee reports, and I'm going to start us off this evening. And I would just like to say to Councilor Andre Baumgartner and Mayor Keith Hedrick, thank you both for putting yourself out there and running for office in the city of Groton. And congratulations to Mayor Hedrick. And we need people to step up and run for office. So we thank you both very much, and we wish you well in the future, both of you. I would like to note that I attended the Pequot Woods Annual Board of Trustees meeting, and I don't think I reported on this. I think I forgot to. We will be hearing from the chair of the Pequot Woods Advisory Board or Board of Trustees. They will be coming to us with a request to, the word is subsume, which Mr. Reiner probably knows and Mr. Burt knows, subsume open space that abuts the Pequot Woods property. They are going to request that it be added into the Pequot Woods property proper, but there will be a letter and they will be before us, and you'll have plenty of time to ask questions. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but just a heads up so you have that. I attended the Make Music Day informational meeting, and it looks like the town may be interested in participating in that. So we're hoping that we can get something going. That would be June 21st, as it always is. This is Military Appreciation Month. Thank you to all our military people. And at this point, it is my ability to appoint members to the Beautification Committee. And we have, Councilor Franco has stepped back because she's got a lot going on in her life. And the chair of the Beautification Committee has asked Councilor Franco to stay on. So she has agreed to stay on as an alternate so she can keep doing her life things, but still be a part of the community because she is a good resource for the Beautification Committee. So as such, Councilor Franco will be taking the alternate position. And we have an application from Aileen Schulman, and she will be filling the full-time position that Councilor Franco is vacating. So we will have a full committee. So that's great. And this has been done in conjunction with the chair of the committee, Cindy Fortner. So she has relayed her desires as to the direction she would like to go. And I think we're very grateful to all the members of the committee who are agreeing to keep serving. So thank you very much. And I think that's all I have at this point. And now we are going to go around the table. So Councilor Baumgartner, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your very kind words. We had a city election yesterday, and just want to thank the hundreds of voters that participated in our local election. It was so great to see so many individuals in our community engaged in the political process for the first time, and that should be welcomed, that should be celebrated. And I hope that continues for the years to come in our both the city and the town. So with that, again, my deepest thanks to the residents of the city of Groton for coming out and voting. And please stay involved. Elections have consequences and benefits as well. And so, you know, it's so important to be involved in the process. So thank you to all, and nothing further. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'm hearing someone's electronics in the background running. Next we have Councilor Parker. Do you have communications?
Well, besides our regular emails, and I believe some of them had spoken this evening. I did attend, along with Councilor Baumgartner, the Workers' Memorial on this past April 28th. Thank you to all union workers, and sad to hear how many have lost their lives in the last few years, and my condolences to all those families. I know it was a hard time when you lose a loved one, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councilor Parker, and thank you both for attending the Workers' Memorial for us. We appreciate you representing the Town Council. And we have next Councilor Franco. Communications?
Yes, thank you. I also received emails regarding the Mystic Educational Center that I believe have been submitted to all counselors. And I received many correspondences and calls related to last week's Public Safety Committee meeting. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heed, communications, sir?
Yes, in addition to the letters on and calls regarding the Mystic Oral School and the Public Safety Committee meeting, I also received, I think we all did, a letter from Mr. Fitzgerald regarding coastal access. And that would be all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is in, that will be attached to the minutes of tonight's meeting. It's going into the public record. Councillor Aubry, communications? You're muted, Councillor Aubry.
I'm going to stop shutting it off. Anyways, I've gotten quite a few letters in reference to the Mystic project. I've been trying to return some comments to people, just my own feelings, not the feelings of the council. I wanted to thank Rachel very much. I was not able to help with the cleanup, and she stepped in and got the whole baseball team to come down and help, and it made a huge difference in the success of the project. We did have a rules meeting. I'll be speaking on that a little bit later. And I just wanted to share that I found the election very exciting, and I am very happy to say that my friend Keith Hedrick is continuing on as the mayor. I'm very happy about that because of the fact that we've had such a wonderful relationship between the town and the city, and I know that that's going to continue. So that's what I have for now.
Thank you, Councillor Aubry. Councillor Bordelon, communications?
Thank you. I received all the numerous emails that everyone pretty much stated tonight. I attended the public safety meeting. I also wanted to thank both the city, Keith Hendrick and Andre Bungardner for stepping up and running. I'm thankful to have had the chance in diversity and chance to have a choice in this election. And I look forward to mending and bridging the gaps and divides that may have been created by some. But I want everyone to know that it's very important to have a public choice and option. And by somebody stepping up, it doesn't mean that the other person is not doing a great job. It's allowing the chance for the diversity of opinions and youth and minorities to move forward and have a voice in our town and our government. Looking at the numbers that were presented, it was 100 and something votes. It was an amazing election. And I do think that, you know, the party, being, as everyone knows, I'm a Democrat, the Democratic Party did speak, and they came out in numbers. And one thing this election we can take away from is that it definitely brought out more people than ever in District 2 and District 3 than ever before. And to my constituents, continue to come out, show up, support, and vote like that. So again, congratulations to Keith Hendricks on that. With that, I just wanted to state that I appreciate Mayor Katowski recognizing military children. As a former military wife, and I have 2 military dependents, their father served 20 years and retired. It is a tough time for some of those students and children, and it's very important to recognize that. And with that, it's also Teachers Appreciation. I believe it's for the month, and I wanted to thank all the teachers, present and past, that have been and part of my life in the town of Groton, and also extend my thank you to Mayor Katowski for her service and hard work in our town as a teacher. More so than ever in this time during COVID, is it important to recognize our teachers as frontline workers, in my opinion. So thank you for all your service. And with that, I just want to say they may forget what you said, but they will not forget how you made them feel. I think that's truly an impression of how our teachers go above and beyond. And so thank you, Mayor Katowski, for your service.
Thank you, that's very kind. We are on to Councilor Melendez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Over the weekend, I attended the food truck rally that was at Pequannock Plains Park, and I just want to commend everybody there. It was my first sort of event out in over a year. And I just want to commend everybody who attended, because virtually everybody there was wearing masks and being as safe as possible. and I want to commend that, and just use this time to promote that the Groton DEI Collaborative is organizing a similar event that will be going on. The date is, I believe, July 24th, and we are inviting many food trucks from around the area that are of diverse foods, and so we're organizing an event very similar. The first one was a success. That was an outside, a private company, but this is the town organizing this one, and July 24th. I hope everybody comes out. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing the preview of the event. And Councilor Zepari, communications. You're muted, Councilor Zepari.
I would just like to comment on our progress with the pandemic. There's an old saying, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And nowhere is that more true than it is in this situation with the pandemic we're dealing with. The problem is that the virus circulates among the unvaccinated population. And as it's circulating among them and rekindling, it is mutating. And ultimately, there will probably be a strain that is not susceptible to the protection the rest of us have obtained with our vaccinations. So as people decide they don't want to be vaccinated for whatever reason, they are not only risking their own health, but they're risking the health of the rest of us, their mothers, their fathers, their children, their neighbors, by potentially being a reservoir for this virus to go, to propagate, and to continue its run through our society. So I would urge everyone to be part of the solution. Get vaccinated. Thank you.
And I will say thank you, Dr. Zepari, for those words. We appreciate that. We are going to go to...
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Bordelon.
I just wanted to add, if it's appropriate, and if it's not, that's fine. Councilor Zepari, Fitch High School is having a vaccination clinic, and they sent out emails and robocalls. And they, now that the vaccines are open to 16 plus, the first vaccine is on the 7th, and then they already have the second one scheduled. I think, I don't have it in front of me, May 28th. You can apply online on the link. And there is because the children are under 18, you can sign, consent. So I encourage everybody to utilize that. And I think that's really great that they were able to have 200 shots come to the high school. So, and looking forward to them moving that down to 12 and older as Pfizer is starting to announce opening that up. So I just wanted to segue off of Councilor Zepari. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would add Grasso Tech is also going to be joining a vaccine clinic. And because they are minors, there will be notification going out to parents in the community. Clerk of the Representative Town Meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The RTM is busy with the annual meeting that began on 29th and will continue until midnight on the 25th. They do have a scheduled meeting Thursday. These are one long meeting. It may be finished on Thursday or may continue. That's up to the body. So they are all the sessions are live on GMTV and videotapes shown through GMTV and YouTube. And there has been there was an election at the last RTM meeting to fill the vacancy of the 7th district. So there's 41 members again. So that's good to know.
Thank you. Clerk of the Council.
You've got every, I assume I have all of your communications. I know that I have quite a few that will be included in the minutes of this meeting. And I want to remind counselors and anyone listening that if you want a list of celebrated weeks, months, just go online, because I was surprised. I was bombarded today with three different weeks just for this week. So celebration for all upright walking people. How's that?
Well, we need happiness in this. It's been a rough year, so if it makes people happy, we're good to go. Mr. Burt, are you back with us, sir? You had to step away for a moment. All right, what I would like to do at this point, we'll give Mr. Burt a chance to come back. We'll take a 5-minute recess before we start our business. Okay, so it's 8:17, we'll break till 8:22. Thank you. Recess for 5 minutes, thanks. meeting is returned. We're starting up again, guys. And the manager is asking that if the council has questions, that you please email him and he will respond to you as best he can. He's having difficulty speaking. So we're going to skip his report, and I don't believe we have any department heads, nor the superintendent or Board of Ed this evening. So we're on to committee reports. Roman numeral 9, Committee of the Whole. Nothing to report on this. Chairman Melendez, personnel and appointments.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. We actually had no meeting, so no report.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Chairman. Yes, Councilor Bordelon.
Are we going to go over town manager's section of the town staff report?
Well, this is what I just said. The manager has asked us to skip his report this evening because he's having trouble speaking. So he asks that if you have questions, if you could please put them in writing to him and he will respond. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
We did personnel and appointments. We're on to 9C, rules. Chairman Aubrey, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do. We had a meeting Thursday, April 28th. Call to order was at 5:37. The roll call was Councilor Aubrey and Councilor Parker, 2 making a quorum. We moved the minutes of the previous meeting of March 18th, moved by Councilor and seconded by Councilor Aubrey, all in favor. Discussion on items 2021-188, change to Rule 8, Rules of Order, Section G. And after discussion, it was decided that we will go onward. The word is in here is through the process, but we will go with the process. We'll add a line to say exceptions would be for clerical corrections. Other than that, we will stay with the rule as it's written. Let's see. On counselors meeting with staff, 2021-189, as that was requested at the previous meeting, I spoke with town manager. He's requested that all meeting requests go through the town manager's office. The matter was discussed at a council meeting. As per town charter, section 5.7, all requests must go through the town manager. We will follow the charter. This will satisfy FOIA rules. This next one, I'm going to be asking the council to ponder this over the next week or so, because I will come back for your guidance. In reference, this is 2021-319, citizens concern of rule violation. And Facebook post, Rule 14, conducted by town councilor, it is a violation when you speak on behalf of the entire council, which was done. FOI compliance, February meeting minutes were recently posted. Minutes must be submitted in a timely manner. Rule 10, committee procedure, section A and E. Both these were found that there had been violations by a member of the council. So since there is no clear action that can be taken by either the town charter or the town rules, what I'm asking is what should happen when somebody breaks the rules? How many times does someone do it? Is this to be a written letter to that person? Is this handled privately? Does the person get sanctioned? Is the person asked to leave the council? So I'm going to ask you to think about this, and I will ask for this to be put on the next agenda. because I do feel that we have to have a procedure. And there's no point in having rules if there isn't something in place, if they are broken. And in this case, both rules were abused. So I'll leave it at that. That's my report. And I hope we can have, in a very timely manner, have discussion on this.
Thank you, Councillor Aubrey. Councillor Bordelon, do you have a question on the rules report?
Sure, thank you. I was not able to attend that meeting because I had another meeting to attend, but there's been other councilors on this council that have spoken on behalf of council and didn't make it this far, this fast. With that, I have submitted a rules consideration that went forward that hasn't made it on. I sent it back, I don't know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago. And this one that she speaks of in reference to the one that JC Ambrose had sent forward made it to the rules decision process faster than anything else I've ever seen go through. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm not stating that a violation did or did not occur. What I'm stating is what is our process and what gets vetted for the rules and when? Because my rule has still been waiting. And it's yet to come before the rules committee. So that's my question, I guess, is how and when is it vetted and what takes priority when? And if we're going to throw the book at somebody, there's so many things. We're non-paid, we're elected officials, and other people have sent in newspaper articles speaking on behalf of the council, and people have apologized, and that's all that's happened. So if we're going to move and set a precedence, then let's set that precedence, but then let's get it all written out. But we should also be vetting what goes before the rules committee in a manner in which takes priority. My understanding is any other committee, what is submitted in order is how you move them typically. And this one just bypassed all process, went straight to it. And I've been asking and waiting still for mine. So that's my question. What is the vetting process for things that are submitted to the rules committee?
Yeah, answer that.
Like Councillor Bordelon, are you?
Yeah, no, that's. I think that's a fair. I'm good there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Aubrey, if you'd like to respond to the process and how you arrived at what was on your agenda, please.
Certainly. There is a process when you're bringing something to the rules committee. And I certainly hope if my other members are here, they might want to make any comment. But when you put in, at the meeting, you asked for a rule on one item. When it came to the committee, it came with several, but there was no council support for it to be reviewed by rules. One of the things is that you have to have two council members that are in agreement with you that it should come to the rules committee. So it went from one to several. When it came, it had no support. So we could not review it.
Point of clarification, Madam Mayor, in my thought that it did have the support, or I never got a response back saying that it wasn't going to be moved forward because it didn't have the support.
Okay, so let me just clarify process, and then the rules chair can respond to this. But I sent an email response to another counselor this week explaining why I prefer to have referrals in writing. The point of that is not to be a stickler and make it difficult for you. The point of it is whatever committee that's going to, whether it be committee of the whole or rules or public safety or whatever committee it is, the chairperson who's making the agenda needs the exact language from the referring counselor. When you do a verbal referral, okay, you may get the council support here. I always ask you to follow up with it in writing. And again, not to be a stickler, but the chair of that committee needs to know exactly what your intent was, okay? So they can make their agenda, or in the case of committee of the whole, that way the public record is accurate and correct with what your intention was. If we do not have language in writing for the committee chair that matches what the other counselors supported verbally in a meeting, it's really not the same referral. If you make a referral with, and it sounds like, and I'm not sure if this is correct, Councilor Obrey, or Chairman Obrey, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like the reasoning is that there was verbal support for one particular item on the floor at a meeting. But then when the written language was sent for the chair to schedule her meeting and add the item to the agenda, there were multiple other things included that did not have the support of the verbal counselors. I'm sorry, that's like slaughtered language. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But Chairman Obrey, is that the gist of what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah, it didn't it didn't have any accompaniment of what counselors were supporting it.
So, Madam Mayor, to clarify, then one would think that from my own professional experience, it would make sense that if it was redundant or there was too much in there, you would move forward with what was agreed upon, and an email would come back and state that this one item will move forward to the rules, Councilor Bordelon, the other items did not fit what was agreed upon, please resubmit. I have no reply. So I'm looking for direction then. You're agreeing that one item did come before us and was agreed upon verbally, and that one item was in written form, but you're stating that part of that did not have written form in a verbal agreement. So therefore that item should have pushed forward, and yet today we stand and it has not. So I'm just asking for some communication and process back, feedback, let it be good, positive, or indifferent. If you agree, disagree, or not, to be the chair, you should also then give back the feedback to that. This is my first time hearing of this.
So Councilor Bordelon, again, please direct through my office, please.
I just said this is the first time hearing of this.
What the point of this is that there was support received by other counselors verbally, and then the request was made that you put it in writing for Madam Chair. When you put it in writing, you threw in other things. And at that point, it's up to the chair of the committee to decide what to do with that referral. And I am just telling you the reason why I prefer to have them in writing. That way we don't run into this problem. But I would assume that Chairman Obrey would be willing, if you would put in writing the language that had the verbal support, I'm sure they could fit it into their agenda. If you want to put your whole referral that you made with all the other added points in writing and request that from the rest of the council, you may very well get support for all those things. And Chairman Obrey, I assume that if that were the case, then it would be put on your agenda in its entirety rather than the single item that was agreed to verbally?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
So what I'm going to ask for clarifying then, in future, it would be appropriate then to respond to the council who submits the request, not when I ask about it. So if I never asked, no one was going to bring it up. So what I ask is that you then respond if it's not in its fulfillment of what your wishes are. So if you wanted more, then let me know, and that's fair. So I'm just asking for that respect, right? We work as a team, and it's important to give back feedback and state that. But with that, you're agreeing that the one item, and that item should move forward as it was stated. You can go back on the tape and see it. It's there and it's in writing, and you can respond and say, per what you've written here, I asked you to either resubmit this as a whole, or would you like me to move forward with the one item? I wasn't given that option. So there was no chance for me to know that this was not going to move forward, in all fairness. So I'm just asking then, can you respond to me to that email and let me know what parts are not agreed upon? Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just ask that to avoid all of this, I much prefer the written referrals. It just keeps it simpler and cleaner for everybody. Chairman Obrey, did you wish to say anything? Otherwise, we have Councilor Franco who wished to speak as well. I'm assuming on the rules. Okay. Chairman,
wait.
did you?
I'll wait.
Okay. Councilor Franco, you have the floor on the Rules Committee report.
Yes, thank you. I did watch that meeting, and the Rules Committee did take up the topic, I believe it was that meeting, and discussed that the referral came in and did not have all the proper language that had been approved, or was it the previous meeting? I'm not exactly sure. So it should be in the minutes from that meeting as well. That's from my memory. If Councilor Aubrey would like to further that, but I thought it was discussed at the meeting that they weren't going forward with it, and so it should eventually become part of their minutes.
I'll stand corrected, Councilor Franco. It should have been there. I know that when it came up, Councilor Parker and myself certainly probably did comment on the fact that it hadn't been briefly. We just said it hadn't been done correctly, so we were not going to consider it. We had a lot of other things that we put quite a bit of time into that evening, not in comparison certainly to some other meetings, but I think if you read how you're supposed to put something to the Rules Committee, you will see that it's written right out what you have to do. So I will try to be a little bit more attentive in the future. And if you would like to put it in writing and have the counselors that are supporting your questions, it'll be first on the agenda at our next meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Aubrey.
Madam Mayor, what I'm asking is that the one item just move forward then. That was already verbally agreed upon. So
it still has to be in writing.
That's fine. You already have it. So you can just send back. You can send back that you're moving forward with the one item. I'll submit it tonight, the one item.
Thank you, Councilor Bordelon.
Okay, so we'll move forward. Thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, we are on to public safety. Chairman Baumgardner.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The Public Safety Committee meeting met, the Public Safety Committee met last week. We deliberated on policing policies and procedures, specifically how we will move forward with the Cork recommendations. The committee passed or move forward with the recommendations set forward by Cork to vote by vote of 2-0 to 1 with 1 abstention. So we will be discussing when we can get that on the town council committee of the whole agenda for deliberation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, may I ask, an item from committee goes right to town council. I don't believe it goes to committee of the whole. That's the whole point of having an item go to committee, according to your rules.
If the committee chair would like it to go to committee of the whole, I have no problem with it going to committee of the whole.
Oh, that's right. That's, you know, one group is the same as the other, really.
Right. Well, it's a process kind of thing, and we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. Councilor Franco, do you have a question on the public safety report?
Yes, just very quickly. I had sent a referral to the Public Safety Committee and regarding the fire department, Quantic Bridge Fire Department coming forward. So I believe Councilor Baumgardner may have received that. There was some kind of maybe confusion about the process of how he would accept, I think as the chair accepts referrals. But I had received the support of 3 council members on February 9th for it to go to the safety committee. So I'm hoping that that will be the next item to be taken up. Thank you.
And I responded to your email indicating that it was, again, this was what led to the discussion about the verbal referrals. Counselor Baumgartner was one of the counselors who supported that referral. You then followed up with a in-written referral, which was copied to everyone. And I assume Counselor Baumgartner then would add that to his public safety agenda as part of a new item, new business. But that does have the support, so that should be on an upcoming public safety meeting. Thank you. Let's see. So we are on to new business, and this is 2021-244-1 Fair Housing Policy, and this is page 39 in your packet. And I believe we're on Councilor Bordelon. I think we left off with Councilor Overy moving the consent calendar. So this is page 39.
I'll pass, thank you.
So then we are on to Councilor Melendez, I believe. Councilor Melendez, this is page 39, the Fair Housing Policy 2021-244-1, please.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I make a resolution approving the fair housing policy, whereas all persons are afforded a right to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice. And whereas federal fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and homeownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location. And whereas Connecticut fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, marital status, age, lawful source of income, familial status, learning disability, physical or mental disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and home ownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location. And whereas the town of Groton is committed to upholding these laws and realizes that these laws must be supplemented by an affirmative statement publicly endorsing the right of all people to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Groton hereby endorse a fair housing policy to ensure equal opportunity for all persons to rent, purchase, obtain financing, and enjoy all other housing-related services of their choice on a non-discriminatory basis as provided by the state and federal law. And be it further resolved that the Chief Executive Officer of the town of Groton or his/her designated representative is responsible for responding to and assisting any person who alleges to be the victim of an illegal discriminatory housing practice in the town of Groton, and for advising such person of the right to file a complaint with the State of Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or to seek assistance from the Connecticut Fair Housing Center, Legal Services, or other fair housing organizations to protect his or her right to equal housing opportunity. I so move.
Is there a second?
Second, Bordelon.
Moved by Melendez and seconded by Bordelon. Thank you very much. And all of these items, as we approach them here on our calendar, our agenda, have all been discussed in committee of the whole. Councilor Bordelon.
Where in the town do we have any of these fair housing projects going on currently, or are we looking to do any of this? Like, where are these concentrated currently in our town?
And I believe Mr. Reiner and Mr. Bronk are here that can address this. I believe this is just a policy statement at this point, but I will yield to Mr. Reiner, who is Director of Planning and Development Services. Mr. Reiner, could you take this question, please?
I guess my question is to make, it's one thing to adopt a way, but I'm just trying to see where we're adopting using this policy currently in our town.
Again, Mr. Reiner, would you like to respond?
Yeah, sorry, John Reiner, Director of Planning and Development Services. This is a requirement of our CDBG program. So when we apply for CDBG grants, we have to do this. I don't know if Paige wanted to weigh in additional.
Yes, let me just add that in addition to it being a requirement, we actually address this when we're scoping out projects to fund with CDBG, typically housing. We have to ensure that all fair housing requirements are addressed in accordance with federal and state mandates. So that's where this comes together. There isn't a specific project per se as a result of this resolution. This integrates into a larger initiative that we address through our CDBG funding. That also includes the housing rehab loan program. So when I'm referencing CDBG, it's either construction of new housing or it would be the rehab of existing home ownership units as well with our loan program.
Thank you, Mr. Bronk.
I
Councilor
definitely
Bordelon.
follow. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know. I was going to go back to you and see if your question was answered. Go ahead.
Thank you. CBG, so when purchasing new housing, what are you referring to as new housing?
When I reference new housing, it typically would be public housing units. Case in point, the last two projects we had were with Mystic River Homes. Prior to that was the Groton Housing Authority. That would be considered to be new housing or complements to public housing units, separate and apart from our loan rehab program, where an individual owns their property, a household, and they meet certain income requirements. They are eligible to apply for favorable loan terms through the town of Groton to do a certain rehab project. That could be a roof, it could be interior work, dealing with a bathroom, a kitchen. Those are some common projects we work on.
Okay, and how often is those programs being accessed, would you say?
How often are they being offered?
Access so people can utilize that. How many applicants are we getting? Like you saying, are people applying for those?
We have a waiting list for our housing rehab program.
Okay.
So I would say on average, we're doing probably 2, 3, no more than 4 of those projects annually. And in terms of the other, basically Mystic River Homes type project, or also the past Groton Housing Authority, that's annually. We'll have one project annually, but sometimes we're not able to actually go after that funding because certain thresholds have to be met in terms of spending down the prior year's money. But I would say on average, we're getting one project a year on those, maybe 2, 3, 4 of the rehab projects, mainly as a result of funding limitations on the rehab.
Okay, and my last follow-up question is, it seems that we're in the city side, we have a lot more affordable, or it appears to be, like when you look at, Branford Manor and different areas, and the town side, we don't seem to have as much of a replication of that. And are we, as we build in our town and we're building more new extravagant units that are desirable to the, certain class of folks, what are we doing to meet this document here to look at building and making sure we have the same representation in the town? Because I feel we lack it on the town side, is what I'm trying to say. As we look at redistricting in for the public schools and looking at affordable care, I think all of that falls in the backs of the same song. When we redistrict, Branford Manor, and move children throughout the district, if we had a district representation of equal housing in those areas, I think we would be not looking to redistrict as often. So I feel on the town side, we need that support. So as we build forward, looking at the requirements here, race, gender, disability, I feel on the town side, we could use more. I agree the senior housing is an asset and they're lacking and need more as well. But I feel in a certain population on certain sectors or town and sides, we do not have that support and that representation on the town side.
Thank you.
So these funds coming in, I'd like to see our town move towards that. Thanks.
So then I assume you're speaking in support of adopting the policy then?
I'm all for supporting it. I just don't think our town, I think we can do better to support this document at large and really live to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Seven, 8, 9. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we didn't lose anybody. All right. We will vote on 2021-244 Fair Housing Policy. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously with 9 counselors. Thank you. We are on to 2021-3061 Long Island Sound Futures Fund Grant. This is page 40 in your packet. And Counselor Perry, if you don't mind, please.
Resolution endorsing the submittal of an application to the Long Island Sound Future Fund for the Resiliency and Sustainability Assessment Downtown Mystic to authorize the town manager to execute all grant documents and accept grant funding for said grant. Whereas the Long Island Sound Futures Fund, LISFF, has issued a request for grant proposals for environmental and sustainable projects in Long Island Sound watershed. And whereas the Long Island Sound Futures Fund is managed by National Fish and Wildlife Foundation in collaboration with the United States Environmental Protection Agency, Long Island Sound Study, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. LISFF and is a long-standing grant program that assists projects that address the implementation actions contained within the Long Island Sound Comprehensive Conservation and Management Plan, CCMP. And whereas obtaining these funds will allow for an important coastal resiliency project to begin as soon as later this year, and this downtown Mystic project would identify potential vulnerabilities that climate change and sea level rise may have on the historic coastal downtown. And whereas the project would include an in-depth study of the area, a series of public engagement meetings, and a final report of recommendations and implementation actions steps on how to best protect downtown Mystic from the effects of sea level rise. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town council endorses the submittal of the grant application to the LISFF for the Resiliency and Sustainability Assessment in Downtown Mystic and authorizes the town manager to sign all required grant documents to apply for, submit, and receive said grant. I so move.
Is there a second?
Second. Sounds like 3 of us.
Moved by Perry and seconded by Bordelon. All those in favor of 2021-306 Long Island Sound Futures Fund Grant, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously with 9 counselors. Thank you. We are on to 2021-1034 Pleasant Valley School property sale and referral to the RTM. Counselor Baumgartner, please. This was page 41 in your packet.
Resolution to authorize the sale of and to recommend the sale of the former Pleasant Valley School to the RTM. Whereas the town of Groton owns excess buildings and properties that are no longer needed for public uses. And whereas the town has been marketing the former Pleasant Valley School for over a year. And whereas the town has issued an RFP and received proposals from potential developers for the site. And whereas Connecticut General Statute Section 7, 163E requires a public hearing by the legislative body on the sale of real property owned by a municipality that has a value exceeding $10,000. And whereas the town council held a public hearing on April 6, 2021 for the sale of the former Pleasant Valley School. And whereas the sale of the former Pleasant Valley School was referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission per Connecticut General Statute 8-24, and on February 25th, 2020, the Commission found that the sale of the property is consistent with the Plan of Conservation and Development. And whereas Section 9.6 of the Town of Groton Charter requires the sale of all properties with a value in excess of $10,000 to be recommended to the RTM for approval, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council hereby authorizes the sale of the former Pleasant Valley School and hereby recommends the sale and the referral of former Pleasant Valley School to the RTM for approval. So moved.
Second, Franco.
Moved by Baumgartner and seconded by Franco. Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. So this is just to agree to the sale of it, but it doesn't really tell us, like, it's not making the decision that what it can be, correct?
That is correct. This is required by state statute that we get approval from the bodies in the town that would be responsible for selling. So this is just the very first step that is required before we can move ahead with anything else.
Okay, because is there any way, I know, like, when you work with developers in the future, that you can't really discuss what or if or any is coming in or not, but when you decide to sell something, is there any way in the preview of the town that one could say as a council that we, support the sale of this property with the anticipation that it was going to be used for mixed income? No, so there's nothing that, that's something that we could ask for, correct, as counselors, to move something forward, that this property would be sold and be used as mixed income.
I believe at the committee of the whole meeting, Mr. Burt noted that there was already an RFP for this property. Mr. Reiner, Mr. Bronk can correct me if I'm wrong, but the RFP had already gone out, and I don't think it can be changed at this point. Is that correct, Mr. Reiner, Mr. Bronk?
Correct. So John Reiner, Director of Planning and Development. At this point, if we were to start changing or kind of moving the target a little bit after the issuance of the RFP, but the RFP was issued looking for proposals on the site. We've received proposals. We've reviewed those with the selection committee. We did talk about that a little bit at that Cal meeting last week. And again, the purpose of tonight is to just talk about the disposition of the property, not what that future use is going to be.
Councilor Bordelon, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I guess it's sometimes I feel the process is somewhat broken, in my opinion, that we are now putting it forward to recommend the sale of it and the RFP process and possible developer or developers. But I think as a town, we should collaborate of what type of development we want to see there and see what comes in the collaboration. And that goes back to the structure I spoke about earlier, where all counselors are not involved in the process, which I think Councilor Franco spoke to at a meeting in a different aspect. I can't quote her or won't quote her tonight, but I think, it's no disrespect to the two counselors that serve on that. But I think it's appropriate that, I support the sale of this for the record. But I really think that that would be a great mixed income area where folks can be on the bus line and get to stores and things like that. And I feel in this town that we're building all these mega developments that are made for the upper level income folks. And I think a mixed use structure would be something that we should consider. So I will support the sale of the property, but I think we have enough of the big, great mega apartments. I think we need to really, as a town, start to look at mixed income, which allows folks to live collaboratively in an area. There's mixed use, there's mixed income, and I feel like we are just building mega units. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, we are just moving forward with authorizing the sale of the property at this point. All right, we will vote on 2021-103 Pleasant Valley School property sale and referral to the RTM. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Councilor Franco, I'm sorry, I see your hand. Is that an opposed?
No.
Okay. Any abstentions?
I abstain. Counselor Bordelon?
So 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention, Bordelon. Madam Clerk, are you set with the vote?
Yes, I am.
Thank
8 in
you.
favor, no opposed, 1 abstention, 4 to 1.
Thank you. All right, that was Councilor Baumgartner. So we're going to be on to Councilor Franco. Do you have a question? I'm sorry, I'm seeing your hand, but I'm not sure what you needed.
Yes, in the previous item we just discussed, I was being quoted, and things that are being quoted from me were items that were in discussion of executive session that are now being brought out into the public, and I find this to be some type of violation of what I'm discussing that's being shared outside of executive session.
All right, so so noted, Councilor Franco. We will not be discussing any more items that were not meant for outside of executive session. Thank you. We are on to 10D 2021-2521 FYE 2021 CIP Crystal Lake Road reconstruction. I believe Councilor Parker.
Yes, I make a resolution authorizing the allocation of $55,320 of capital reserve fund unassigned fund balance for a FYE 2021 Crystal Lake Road reconstruction project. Whereas the town manager has received a second supplemental project authorization letter from the State Department of Transportation for the reconstruction of Crystal Lake Road, and whereas the state has now estimated the total construction cost to be $6,719,410, and whereas the demand deposit required from the town is now $671,941, and whereas the demand deposit previously made by the town was $616,621, and whereas the balance of the demand deposit required from the town is $55,320, therefore be it resolved that an allocation of $55,320 from the Capital Reserve Fund unassigned fund balance is approved for FYE 2021 project 1, I believe that's L or I believe I, reconstruction of Crystal Lake Road number 5504F, and authorize the town manager to sign the second supplemental project authorization letter. I so move. Oh, and referring the matter to RTM. I so move.
Second, Heed.
Moved by Parker and seconded by Heed. Thank you, Councilor Parker. Good catch on the end there. All right. All those in favor of 2021-252 FYE 2021 CIP Crystal Lake Road reconstruction, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously, and I believe we are still at 9. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, we're still at 9 councilors. Thank you. We are on to 2020-4324 tax abatement for seniors, disabled, and veterans. This is on page 43, and I believe we are on Councilor Franco.
Yes, thank you. I'm not exactly, am I reading the motion section in the first?
You're reading the resolution on the bottom of the page.
Okay. Resolution appointing a committee to study property tax abatements for seniors, disabled, and veterans. Whereas the town council has expressed interest in investigation options for meaningful tax abatements for senior citizens, disabled citizens, and for veterans with limited incomes, and whereas the Connecticut General Statutes 12-129N requires the appointment of a committee of not less than 5 resident taxpayers in the municipality to research and make recommendations to the council concerning property tax relief for seniors. Now therefore be resolved that the town council authorizes the appointment of a committee of 5 resident taxpayers to undertake a study of permitted property tax relief options to be completed within 60 days and presented to the town council. The report shall include 1, the fiscal effect of such property tax relief on property tax revenue for the town of Groton, and 2, recommendations with respect to the form of such property tax relief. I so move. There's nothing there, I guess. That's it. I so move.
Yeah.
Second.
Moved by Franco and seconded by Zepari. We will vote on 2020-432 tax abatement for seniors.
Madam Mayor, I had my hair. I'm sorry you were looking down.
Okay. You wish to discuss this item. Councilor Bordelon, you have the floor.
I just had a quick question. It states 5 tax. Let me just find my spot. Sorry. I just think that I can support it. I mean, I think it should 5 resident taxpayers. I think they should be of mixed income, in all fairness.
That's not what the statute says.
Yes, Councilor Bordelon, this is something that is bound by state statute. So we have to move the resolution according to what the general statutes permit.
That's what I'm asking. One was asking, can it be, but if it can't be, then, so it's just 5 taxpayers in general that who selects?
It has to be, it has to be the way it is written to conform to the general statutes. And then I believe, Mr. Burt, we had this conversation. I'm sorry to have to call on you. I know you're having trouble talking. But Mr. Burt, is this going to be personnel and appointments? People will apply and then it'll go through personnel and appointments?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Okay. So again, I understand the statute doesn't state that, but on the record, I support this. But I feel when we vet these folks, I think it should be of mixed income background so that there's a distinction and all folks are being represented. So when we do our due diligence to bring people on, I think there should be a wide range of income bases on there so that all folks are being represented. Thank you.
Councilor Franco?
We discussed this in the cow, and this was discussed, and we cannot put any other stipulations on this. That's what we were told during the cow. So it has to go that there's no other vetting process that we can put on place. That's what we were told in the cow. Thank you.
Any other first time? Yes. And again, we have discussed these items at length in committee of the whole. Councilor Aubry, you have the floor.
That's what I was going to reiterate again. I know you say it at the beginning, and I appreciate that, but I think the people watching and the people that might read this later, we have discussed these, each one of these. We have debated it. We have come to a conclusion. And these questions really should be asked when we're doing our deliberation. So I just want to say that it really, we put time into these things. This is not something that just appears and we say, yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Aubry. Councilor Bordelon, this is your second time speaking on this item. You have the floor.
Again, I just want to state that I'm not asking for it to be changed, and I'm aware that it cannot be changed at this point. And I know that it's been discussed, and yes, you can submit something ahead of time, but it doesn't negate the fact that at the time, if a thought comes to mind organically without sending messages or emails to give everybody a heads up, if I'm sitting here looking at this and it came to mind that I was just inquiring, asking that when it does go to the committee, it doesn't have to be a formality in a sense, but it could be a way or a thought process that the people taking this on could think. And I just would hope that they would do that. So I would support this, but I hope that we look at all income levels when we vet and move forward for the 5 people. But yes, Councilor Aubry, I agree. We did discuss this, and it is natural to bring things up after if they come to mind. Thank you.
And I will restate that this is being done in accordance with the Connecticut General Statutes, and the committee and this council will act appropriately in compliance with the general statutes. We will vote on 2020-432 tax abatement for seniors, disabled, and veterans. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Counselor Zepari. We are on to approval of fourth quarter transfers for FYE 2021. And this is the first one that's on page 44. And I believe we're on Counselor Aubry for the item on page 44 in your packet.
Okay. Resolution for FYE 2021 fourth quarter transfers. Whereas the town charter provides for supplemental appropriations to adopted budgets and transfers from the contingency function during the year, and whereas the town charter also provides for the transfer of funds from one department function to another department function during the last 3 months of the fiscal year. Whereas transfers are necessary and represent unforeseen or unexpected expenditures at the time of the FYE 2021 budget was adopted. Now therefore be it resolved that transfers totaling $9,000 be transferred from contingency number 1094 to the following general fund department function. Voter registration number 100306-5103, $9,000. Presidential primary was not budgeted in FYE 2021. And further resolve the transfers totaling $28,104 be transferred from contingency number 1094 to the following general fund department / function and referred to the RTM for approval. Insurance claims number 107006-5154, $15,000 increase in unemployment claims. Debt service number 107601-5450, $13,104. April 2020 school bonds exceed the estimate included in FYE 2021. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Aubry and seconded by Zepari for 2021-263. All those in favor of 2021-263 approval of fourth quarter transfers for FYE 2021, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved unanimously. And we are on to 2021-2951 FYE fourth quarter transfers. This is page 45 and we are on Counselor Bordelon, please.
I will pass. Thank you.
We are on Counselor Melendez, please. Can you take this item that is on page 45, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
I make a resolution for FYE 2021 fourth quarter transfers. Whereas the town charter provides for supplemental appropriations to adopted budgets and transfers from the contingency function during the year. And whereas the town charter also provides for the transfer of funds from one departmental function to another departmental function during the last 3 months of the fiscal year. And whereas transfers are necessary and represent unforeseen or unexpected expenditures at the time the FYE 2021 budget was adopted, now therefore be it resolved that transfers totaling $130,000 be transferred from contingency number 1094 to the following general fund departments / functions and referred to the RTM for approval. I so move, or do I have to read the bottom?
Read the bottom, please.
Okay, contributions to other funds, reevaluation fund number 107301-5230, unexpected additional legal fees not budgeted in FYE 2021. I so move.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Melendez and seconded by Bordelon.
How much was that?
$130,000 from contingency 1094 to reval 107305230.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Counselor Bordelon?
Are we expecting in this upcoming budget season just any more unexpected additional legal fees on any of these items that are needing extra funds, or are we at the close to an end to it? I know that we probably can't talk about it because we're not in an executive session, but I just think it's good to bring these forward before we get to asking for transfers. It would be good to kind of know we're approaching what we thought we were budgeted for, maybe a little sooner. So I'm just wondering where we're at.
Mr. Burt,
I don't think we'll be spending any more this year, but it's still an ongoing issue.
Okay. So is there a way that if we have to do an executive session before we get to that dollar amount, that we start talking about it maybe a little sooner? Thank you. I feel like we haven't had an update, as we stated. I just think it'd be nice to have an update sooner to prepare for this. Thank you.
And I did send a full update on the two legal cases to the council.
Right. It was upon request, but once again, I think we should have these sooner. Thank you.
we will vote on 2021-295 FYE 2021 fourth quarter transfers. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions.
Bordelon abstains.
8 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention. Bordelon. Thank you. That concludes the new business. The only other thing we have this evening is for just a open agenda item review. The list, the item began on 46. The list is on page 47, and we just have some outstanding items here. And I'm not going to read them to you because you all are perfectly capable of reading. And I see we have a question from Councilor Franco.
Yes, thank you. It seems like on May 11th, we're going to have review of blight ordinance. And I have some items that are pending with Mr. Reiner, and I was wondering if he's going to be able to get back to me in that timely manner.
Other items concerning blight or other things?
That's what I was going to ask as well.
It's the review of blight ordinance, and I had put some things, I had sent links and discussions with Mr. Reiner regarding blight, and he was going to get back to me, and I'm awaiting that, and I don't want to put this onto the agenda if I'm not prepared with information from Mr. Reiner.
Yeah, I'll check with him in the morning.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilor Aubry.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we have any kind of an update on the short-term rental situation. As all of you probably have, I read about NOANC going forward with working on theirs. And I don't want to be remiss in our forging forward with it also. So
it's the first item on the list. It's scheduled for 5/27.
Thank you very much.
Planning and Development is working on that, and they'll be getting back to us.
I think John should go to bed.
Yeah.
I think we all
Not
should.
talk anymore. All right. All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by Aubry. Is there a second?
Second, Franco.
Moved by Aubry and seconded by Franco. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved unanimously. At 9:22 p.m. we are adjourned. Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night, everybody. Be well out there. Mask up and get vaccinated. Right, Dr. Zeperi?
Yeah.
John, boy, go to